Developers, a quick word about functions. Just like we just reviewed very quickly what a variable it is, functions is another important building block of software. And functions are like variables in that they're going to have a name. So here's a name, and that they're going to point to this name here is going to point to some particular type of area in memory that instead of housing and pointing to an object, it points to a set of instructions. It points to a set of instructions code that we will actually run. When we put this, if you see here, this add numbers function here that I put here, this name here on the left, this is the name, and notice how I put the open close parentheses. The open close parentheses essentially says, hey, to this function called add numbers that is located here, open close parentheses, run it. And so what does it mean to run the code is that it takes every line of code here and it runs it top down. So you can think of functions like the verbs. If we're going to talk about the syntax and the language of code, the variables are going to be very much nouns, okay? And the functions could be the verbs. They actually make things happen. Now, functions happen to be objects as well. So functions happen to be things as well. And objects in the future, you'll learn, can actually house functions within them. So things get a little bit more involved as you get more sophisticated in your skill sets. But functions are actions. Functions are tools that we can reuse. And they're very similar to variables in that they have a name. And you're going to see that name referenced and actually followed by this open close parentheses. This name is going to point to a function that lives somewhere in memory. Right, so here's that name. It's going to point to somewhere in memory that we will find the set of instructions that we will run. And when we run those instructions, they run top down. So that's not going to explain to you much more about that. I just wanted to have you hear that because we're going to start talking about coding. And as soon as we start talking about coding, the word function and running a function is going to come up very quickly. I wanted to put that in the back of your head. Functions and variables, two big building blocks of software development. Variables being the things and the objects, the nouns. And if we're going to make some type of analogy to it, then functions are like the verbs. They actually make things happen. They're the instructions that we run in software development.